Hey guys, King of Charmanders. Okay, so I am mostly known, well, I'm pretty much well known for creating this epic anti-meta team for Open Master League that actually took me to rank 10 way back when last year in 2020. So I decided to try it again, and surprisingly enough, against the current day meta, it actually does incredibly well, which is very surprising. I decided to bring it back and test it out, and it actually literally almost 5-0'd. So it almost 5-0'd, and actually does really well against the current meta, where Gyro and Kyogre kind of have come back with prominence, and Mewtwo's been a lot more popular, because Dialga can actually beat Mewtwo, as long as you don't get Focus Blasted or you get Ice Beam. So again, I decided to take it back, and it actually did very well, so I was really excited to bring it back, because again, I would say this is still my greatest accomplishment in Go Battle League, being the only person in the world to essentially break Master League at a time when everyone thought it was impossible, and they're like, what can you use to break Master League? Is there anti-meta in Master League? Well, I'm the person that did it, and that's actually pretty it still brings its anti-meta roots from season 1 all the way to season 6 of Go Battle League. Alright, so as you saw in the picture, the team I'm using is Hydreigon, Mewtwo, and Rhyperior. Now, I'll explain a little bit of why I kind of abandoned this team in after season 1, but this team does really well because Hydreigon does very well against the Giratina as well as the Kyogre pattern. It can also beat Ho-Oh nowadays, so those are 3 popular patterns. It can even beat Lugia too, so that's 4. Mewtwo is a powerful safe switch. Focus Blast can take back your switch if they try to get switch from you, if they switch in a steal into you, so it can take back, it can nuke Melmetal, and it can nuke Dialgas, so that's why Mewtwo is a good safe switch. Side Strike also does heavy damage even if it's resisted. Even if they throw something like Giratina, actually you'll see me actually use Mewtwo to bait out the Gira-O and take shields or do heavy damage. And Rhyperior is out there for the closer pattern. Now obviously if you see Kyogre, you're pretty much dead, but with Rhyperior, if they throw steals into you, you can use Rhyperior to farm down, throw that energy to bait shields, and finish with Hydreigon and Mewtwo. It's a very intricate and this is a very intricate team. I wouldn't recommend running it even if you have all the components unless you practiced with it a lot. Because Master League is so unforgiving and everything does so much damage, I pretty much have memorized all the patterns this team can possibly go through, and you're just going to see how much I've mastered it on the shoutcast. As you see here, if you go down, it's not a great... The team doesn't have a lot of coverage. It basically takes advantage of patterns. So it takes advantage of patterns and shield scenarios. It has a decent amount of bulk, minus Hydreigon. That's why it's a B. Not super safe, because if you do lose lead, it basically... You bank on hitting big moves or taking shields or having really strong plays with Giratina versus the back row, or using Rhyperior to itch out last second wins. But it's the good thing about it is it's extremely consistent. It'll deal a ton of damage, and it really manipulates energy and shield mastery, etc. So you have to be very skilled to use this team and have to know it really well. So I don't recommend you run it to go to Legend unless you've practiced with it a lot and you're willing to shell out the resources. As you see here, the reason why I abandoned it from Season 1 to Season 2, the advantage I took over was the pattern of Giratina-O and from Kyogre. So Giratina-O and Kyogre were the 2 biggest meta targets that would normally be in the lead, and I can come back from losing lead against Melmetals and Dialgas. Hydreigon doesn't lose the 1 shield against Ho-Oh, however in the 2 shield it's very powerful. As you see here, it does beat Snorlax as well as Mewtwo. It has, outside of the Dragon Breath picks, like Zekrom, Dragonite, and Dialga, it does really well against a lot of neutral meta. So it's a very, very good pick if you play it well, and you recognize how it can take damage. Hydreigon is basically off of a theory factor that Hydreigon can take damage if it resists a move. For example, if I do get Gira-O, I resist Ominous Wind as well as Shadow Ball. I technically wall Gira-O with Hydreigon. Same thing with Kyogre. If you do get Kyogre and they don't have shields, or if you're in the 2 shielded even shield scenarios, they will never get to a Blizzard if they have no energy lead. If they don't have an energy lead, they will never get to Blizzard. Those are the 2 patterns I took over. As you see, it does well against a lot of things. And then if you look at the potential threats, this is the reason why I abandoned it. Groudon, Palkia, Dragonite. These 3 are the big reasons why I stopped, because Groudon, you basically will come out of the Groudon matchup with no shields, and you have to call the Earthquake. Earthquake will KO Hydreigon. Palkia can straight bully through Hydreigon, and it's just, that's the sad part about it. Giratina Altered can also bully through Hydreigon just because it's so bulky. So you have 3 patterns that basically go out, and you can also bully through it with Zekrom. Zekrom also gives you a very hard time. As you see, the threat score is pretty huge. This team takes advantage of the fact that you recognize patterns and have plans against patterns of the meta. Not really as far as throw the whole this. You just pick a Pokemon because it's a Pokemon and because it's strong against this. Throw that out the door, because this team completely abandons that concept. It's a very, like I said, it's really hard to use. Don't recommend building it, especially this late in the game, because things can change in Season 7, but that's why I'm taking so long to describe to you. It's a really hard team to run. This is what made me a legend. Literally a legend, like a living legend for using this team in Season 1. This is the full anti-meta team, and it actually does really well in Season 6 too. Alright, here's the battles. So this is a really interesting team. As you see here, you're probably going to see me stutter through some plays, but I'm going to try to like basically remember all the 10,000 IQs plays it requires to actually run this team. So we get our first match here. We get our Hydreigon into a Kyogre. This is a great lead for us. We win this lead. So there's actually never a point to where Kyogre will get to a Blizzard. As long as I don't lag and they don't get any extra waterfalls through, my opponent will actually never get to Blizzard, because it takes 10 waterfalls to get to a whole Blizzard. As you see here, we're going to get our Dark Pulse through, and our opponent just takes it, which is bad. Because as you see here, this is a Surf. I can eat a Surf perfectly, and as you see, I can farm down, and they never get to a Blizzard. Again, as long as you don't lag, you can get to it, but unfortunately, my opponent does have a Dialga in the back. Now I'm going to send in Rhyperior. So the scary thing is that if they get enough energy, they can actually get to Iron Heads. But if everything goes right, I should only have to expend 1 shield here, and then I can farm down. As you see, I'm not tapping on any charge moves. I'm going to farm down this whole Dialga. Works perfectly. My opponent sends in the Snorlax. That's perfectly fine. We're going to Rock Wrecker through. Straight Rock Wrecker through my opponent. As you see, we grab 1 shield, which is great. And hopefully we grab another one. What you want to do here is grab both shields as much as you can. We're going to grab the second one over here, and then we're going to send in Mewtwo, and then I'm going to Focus Blast. So, as you see here, this is GG's my opponent. My opponent has no play here. Unless somehow, like, Snorlax magically learns Shadow Ball, there's no way my opponent has play here. This is GG's. As you see, we block the Body Slam. We try to go for the Focus Blast, but he actually quicks out right before we can actually finish him off, and that's GG's. As you see here, Kyogre, really great lead. Again, as long as there's no lag and no waterfall goes through, they will never get to a Blizzard. So as long as you play it right, they will never get to a Blizzard. So the thing about the thing about Hydreigon that makes it really cool is that back then in Season 1, Kyogre and Gira-O was the most popular pattern. So I keyed in on that, and Hydreigon beats both. You actually don't have to shield anything. The only things you have to shield are the Blizzard from Kyogre, and if their Gira-O has Dragon Pulse, which most aren't actually running Dragon Pulse nowadays. They're actually running Omnis Wind and Shadow Ball. So you don't have to worry about either one. Perfectly fine. As you see here, we do get an error 6, and I have to actually go back in the queue. So instead, I get my, as you see, I'm getting my gotcha back, but you know, sometimes it happens. But that's the basis of the team, is that you don't necessarily, there's contingency plans if you lose the lead. But the thing about it is that with Hydreigon is a very advanced mon, because it's not the squishiest thing in the world. However, it's able to eat certain charge moves, and a lot of them. So you can kind of use it to tank certain charge moves, like you saw with Kyogre Surf. It takes like 3 or 4 Surfs before you actually die. And then with Omnis Wind and Shadow Ball, you can tank, I believe, 3 Shadow Balls full HP, or you can take a couple of Omnis Winds, I think 4. So that's the strength, and you also resist Shadow Claw. As you see, we get our second match, and that's how Hydreigon essentially works. It kind of tanks the right moves. Here's a great example. Giratina O into my Hydreigon. They switch immediately into their Dialga. Now, in order for you to get off the Rhyperior farm down strat, you need to switch really fast. So, because what happens is that if you don't switch in right away, they can possibly get to 2 Iron Heads. If everything goes right, as you see here, all you'll have to do is spend 1 shield and you can farm down Dialga, which is amazing, because what you can do is just throw all this energy at whatever comes in. Normally they'll throw in Gira O because they want to farm down, as you see here. But you should be able to get to 2 rock records, given that there's no lag or anything like that. So this should grab the second shield, and then I can send in Hydreigon, and or they're just gonna let it go, which is, I think it's a bad idea. As you see, they have a Mewtwo. I don't think my opponent knows that Hydreigon, well, here's an advanced play I'm gonna do. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna send in Hydreigon to figure out whether or not this Mewtwo has Focus Blast or Ice Beam. Because what I do, if it's a Shadow Ball, I'll actually send in Mewtwo, I mean. So Mewtwo, they have Shadow Ball. So now I know this is a Shadow Ball, Psystrike Mewtwo, and all I have to do is actually farm down. I sacrificed Mewtwo on purpose to figure out what, as you see, it is Psystrike Shadow Ball, as predicted. I can take 2 Shadow Balls and 2 Psystrikes. Because of that, my opponent will never get to 2 Psystrikes or Shadow Balls. As you see here, I can tank either one. I can also tank the Psystrike if I wanted to. All I'm going to do is farm down, and that's GG's. As you see here, as long as you can guess movesets, which is actually an incredibly advanced, like 2000 IQ prediction, you can win a lot of matches with this team. This basically goes off of the prediction that it's a huge gamble, but if you can guess correctly, it pays off with dividends with Hydreigon. As you see there, the only thing that Mewtwo has that threatens you, if you see a Mewtwo, is actually Ice Beam and Focus Blast. Because of current day meta, the Mewtwo that's actually recommended is Psystrike Shadow Ball, which you resist both with Hydreigon. So as long as you create conditions like what I did with Hydreigon, you can come out with a W. We get our next match, and like it's really, yeah, that's basically how it ends up. It's really nuts. We get a Hydreigon into a Giratina O, and for some odd reason, my opponent actually stops attacking. So they probably lagged out, and I don't know why. But what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna essentially farm it down. I'm just gonna keep attacking. I'm not sure if they are letting me win or they're I don't know. I'm not sure what they're doing. Either way, I would have won comfortably here. I have Hydreigon, so Hydreigon beats the Gira O. They can switch into their back row, which is a Groudon slash a, well, you'll figure out in the back, it's actually like a Melmetal. So what I would have done is just switch Mewtwo into Groudon, and then I would have had Rhyperior for Melmetal. So I pretty much beat this team anyway, so whether or not I did this or not, I pretty much win. Just, yeah. Like, with the ability, like, yeah, I would, it's, like, Mewtwo versus Groudon is really strong as long as you don't eat the Earthquake. As you see here, I'm just going to farm it down. Unfortunately, I think my opponent did lag out. If I do give up here, I'm not sure if it would give both of us a loss, because Go Battle League hasn't been the most stable, it hasn't been the most stable system in the world right now for the past couple of seasons, but you know what, we try to work through it, and we just tap through it, and we try to get the W's. As you see here, I stop just for a sec, because I'm like, I decide whether or not to let them take the W, but you know, I just take them out, because I don't know if both of us get a loss anyways. And that's GG's. But like I said, even if they didn't lag, I pretty much win that match, just based on what they saw. I would have won the match anyways. I would have just aligned accordingly, and then that would have been it. That would have been it. But as you see, like, if you can catch Gira O and Kyogre, it's a great time. Even if you lose the lead, there's contingency plans, and you'll see in the next 2 matches, I believe the next match, I think I lose the lead. Very powerful team for season up until now. We get Hydreigon into Garchomp. Okay, this kind of sucks because this Garchomp actually beats us. So the thing about Garchomp, in order for me to beat Garchomp, I actually need to catch a move. So as you see here, I'm going forward. They built up to Outrage, but I shield because I can eat Outrage, and they actually bait me with Sand Tomb. Garchomp is insanely powerful against my Hydreigon. If I called a bait, that would have been great, but unfortunately I did not. So as you see here, we're gonna just pop a shield, try to get into the ones, and I'm gonna try to switch out, but I think I fail, and sadly they have a lot of play now. We get Melmetal into Mewtwo, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go straight Focus Blast to try to break both shields, or hopefully mine goes through. As you see, I do hit the Focus Blast, but it's still really rough, so do they shield? They do not! This is huge, because we take back Switch, and we can get a Mewtwo with energy. This is great for us. But they send in the Dialga. So here's why this is terrible. So the reason why this is terrible is because, one, I should have built up to Focus Blast to threaten, and then I could have got there. Because I'll get to Focus Blast before they get to Iron Head, and even if we get there at the same time, I win CMP. But the reason I'm in a tight spot right now, just because they should be able to take my next shield, and then I'm in a rough spot right now. I have to shield the Iron Head because it does big damage. They switch in their Garchomp. The issue is that this is going to hurt a lot. As you see here, this Outrage is going to hurt a lot. I can farm down the Garchomp, but unfortunately they do get to a move, and sadly, because of all that energy, this should KO. What I needed to do was Superpower, and even if I Superpowered, I should have been able to farm down, so I basically misplayed here. I should have won that match. What I should have done is, like I mentioned, fire the Superpower. That would have taken out, and even though I'm debuffed, even though I'm debuffed, I should have been able to farm down Dialga or force that last bit of energy, because I should have been, even if it's debuffed, I can farm down at that range. So misplay over there. As you see, it was a Garchomp is actually a losing lead, but I had a winning play, and sadly I just didn't make the winning play. So GG's. I should have won. Yeah, like I had that match. I should have. I thought I could farm down. Unfortunately, I lost track of energy, and because Sandtomb versus Outrage, it's okay though. We did our best. We tried to come out of it. For match 5, we get Hydreigon into Giratina, which is pretty dang good. But as you see here, like, that's the losing lead I was talking about that I should have won. We get a Landorus switched into us, which is actually a really great pick for this meta. I'm actually going to try to take... I'm going to shield this one, and then I'm going to trade... I'm trying to take it to the ones. I expect my opponent to shield. So as you see, I'm going to fire the Dark Pulse. I'm going to get him a little bit down, and I'm going to switch into Mewtwo, and I'm going to try to hit some Side Strikes. So as you see here, we send the Mewtwo, hit the Side Strikes off. I should be able to survive an Earth Power or a Rock Slide, but I accidentally shield here because I mistapped it, but this is okay because we got Mewtwo with more HP, and Mewtwo should be able to come out of this with either health advantage. Well, I don't have any. The issue is I don't have shield, so I'm going to fire the Side Strikes off. That's going to take out this Landorus, and then my opponent sends in Gira O. I should be able to take big damage here by hitting the Side Strike, and then I can send in Gira O to farm down, or I can send Hydreigon to farm down. Gira O is probably going to hit me with a move, though. As you see here, this is a Shadow Ball. It kills if it's honest and when it does not, and they hit the Shadow Ball. So, the good on my opponent, that's the right move. I send in my Hydreigon. I'm going to fire a Superpower. As you see here, I try to catch a Rock Slide, and it kind of sucks, because my opponent's going to get 2 Superpowers off. I can actually survive 2 Superpowers at full HP. As you see here, I'm going to survive. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the Superpower and try to take out my opponent's Melmetal. So 2 Superpowers, I live. I'm going to hit the Superpower immediately because I can't get to the next one. I can try and farm them down, but the likelihood of that happening is very small because I'm really hurt. So they shield. I grab the last one. Now they fire their energy, which is great because I should be able to farm this Melmetal down, and then I should be able to hit a Dark Pulse for the W. As you see here, farm down. It's actually a simultaneous KO, and then I hit the Dark Pulse for the W. That's GG's. That was a really rough because I could have taken, like I mentioned before, like saving the shield would have been a safer play, but either way, we take the W. Hope you guys enjoyed that shoutcast. Again, really insane matches, really difficult to play, and we come out with a 4-1. It should have been a 5-0, but, you know, you misplay sometimes, so good luck on your Go Battle sets, and I'll see you guys on the next video.